Hello, everyone. My name is Céline Roustan. I'm one of the programmers for the Palm Springs International Shortfest, and you are here today for a conversation with Anthony Nti, the director of DAI that we had at the festival in 2020, and that is currently shortlisted for Best Live Action Short at the Oscars. Hi, Anthony. Thank you for being here today with us.
Hi, Celine. Thanks for inviting me. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Well, I guess we'll jump right in. What a story. So much happens in 20 minutes. It's very packed with action. I was just wondering how the story came to be, what was the inspiration behind the story of those two kids and this adult, and just in general how it came to be. And I believe you wrote it with someone, so just the writing process, how it went.
Yeah. Thanks for asking. So, that year was an idea that I kind of like had back in 2015, and it was I always write. I always work with Chingis Karibekov, who is a great writer and also is the uh, co-producer of Daye, and so we were in the same school, and so we always pitched each ideas to each other and see if we wanted to work together. And in 2015, we had this idea to do something because I when I was younger and also Chingis, we got into situations where um, being a kid, we didn't kind of like see the danger because innocence and it's just like it's just being kids and playing and all, being wild and free. And then because our paths crossed with the adulthood, it got a bit scary in the sense of like that's something that we realized much later. And so we thought it was an interesting way to look at things, in the sense of like we felt like innocence of children nowadays can come into danger when it gets collided with adulthood, like just in general, even though it has its advantages, because like when you look at the film, the kids, they had a great time, they probably saw more than they would have ever seen, and they took home what they took, but it could have also gone wrong, and so we wanted to play with that line. And so yeah, we looked back into our own youth, and looked in looked into situations where as a child our innocence came into danger or something. But we also realized most of the time it went together with peer pressure. Um, and uh, and that, like, I remember I was being in Ghana, and I was a good football player, and I had to be home to do the chores, but some friends were like, "You need to come play because we're losing, and it's only gonna take 30 minutes." Like, and I'm like, "Nah, I gotta do the chores." And they're like, "Nah, don't worry about it. Your mom, nobody will know. Like, you'll be on time." And then I went, and I played football. We won, but I lost track of time. And on my way back, I ran like crazy, but I didn't make it. And my auntie wanted to slap me, but in in Ghana, like, if you do something wrong, because I had responsibilities. I didn't take care of those responsibilities, so I had to just own up to my mistakes and take it how like it is. But me being Anthony, I dodged the slap, and and so because of that, I had to. When you dodge a slap, it's actually even worse than going to play the football. In the first place. So I had to run. I mean, run, like I couldn't go home. My mom had to calm down. My auntie had to calm down, and so then we were like, okay, that could be the starting point of the story, in the sense of like he had to now things has to cool down, before he goes back. So what happens in the meantime? And then we had their worlds collide with an adult, and then we went on a road trip. full of excitement, which later, yeah, could have gone wrong, but that was like the starting point of the film, actually. Yeah, playing with peer pressure and the innocence of children that can come into danger when it gets collided with the adulthood. Yeah.
Yeah, you've just touched a little bit on it. It's really the tension is really built from the perspective we see. The film is very really has the perspective of the kids because
Yeah.
it's fun in just the atmosphere of the film. It's really fun to be with them, to be with that adult man, and just he takes them to the beach, he takes them out to eat. So it's all very fun and we can feel their excitement through the screen. But from our seats as adults, we can also feel the danger because it is not a
Mm.
normal situation. So it's just those two atmospheres colliding, and so you play with that tension. And I was just wondering how what you were thinking in terms of narrative structure and the pacing when specifically in post production to just make it all come together, having that tension building up, playing with the
Mm.
two perspectives, especially since the film is 20 minutes, which is not extremely short for a short film.
Mhm.
So yeah, just in general, how the structure of the narrative and the pacing.
Okay, great question. That was like one of the most difficult thing that me and Chingis, we were like, okay, so we want to do this film, but there is no that nothing really happens. So it was basically, we're gonna do a film, nothing happens, but people should be sitting on the edge of their seat thinking, and that was the challenge for us. And so we knew it had to be in pace, and in when do we choose to tell certain things, when do we choose to give certain informations, and when do we, when do we keep certain information for ourselves, or, and so with that idea, we kind of like started writing. And for me, I lived in Ghana, I lived in Medina, and basically Daye was also a bit of a road trip of, through my childhood a little bit, and so every place, for me, had a pace, like had a rhythm, like every location had its own rhythm and its own pace, and with that in mind, it kind of helped me, as a director and also as a writer, to connect it to the characters. For instance, Matilda, for me, like Matilda, Prince, and Boga are three characters who could live in Medina, in the sense of like, it's it's a lot of pace going, like a lot, it's very fast, but you can also have like slow moments. You can have like, it's always like the survival of the fittest, kind of like um pace, or if you like the opening of the film, we already give away what the moral of the story is, in the sense of like the strongest, the fastest, the guy that plays the best football, the one that is the fastest to catch the chicken makes the decision. So all these elements kind of gets you in trouble, also can also get you in trouble, like your strength can also be your flaw, and it all depends on the place where you are. Like, depending on where you are, your strength can be your strength can help you, or it can be go against you, and so for us, that was like something we had in mind. And the film is called Daye, which means good night. And so we figured, like, you expect the night to come, or you expect the evening to come. And so for us, it was like, it gave us time also. Like, we just thought about it, like, okay, the film is called Good Night. So once you start watching the film, it's day, you kind of like suspect maybe it's gonna be night, we're gonna go to the night. And also we felt like once we introduce the stranger, or the foreigner, in this case Boga. um Once we introduce him, that's actually when the film starts. And before that, it was more like illustrating the place, the pace, and the two characters, in the sense of like, if you really we nothing wrong was gonna happen, in the sense of like, if you really pay attention to the kids and how their survival tactics and how they are as human beings, you kind of feel like these kids might be okay, like they might get out, you know what I mean? And that was like the first establishing for us. It's like we established the place, and it's like the survival of the fittest, and there's these two kids, they, like, Prince dodged the slap, he did that, like he dodged the slap. Matilda cut the chicken. These are two kind of like outsiders that are, they need each other. Like together, they bond together, they stand. Even though they're a little bit different from each other. Like together, that's how they survive. Like because they are two different characters. Also because of how Prince is that the one of the reasons why Bogart kind of like he had his mind switch or his moral switch, and so every place, every from the start, the chicken in the air, it's about, it's about these chickens that also he has to run, he has to survive, like everybody's on their own, everybody's in their own pace, own rhythm, and with that same energy is how we shot the film, me and the DP PJ, we saw the camera. For me, the camera was like me, the curious child from back in the days, going back to see what was happening, so like how the camera moved, it was all from it was a kid's perspective, because the camera is a curious kid for me, and so voila. So that, with that idea, we pushed every scene and every location with that pace, with that same feeling, like, okay, at the sea, I feel like this is the pace here, and everybody on set, even the DP, we all felt it, So once the images came to post, it was pretty easy for the editor. Like, I mean, easy. It wasn't easy, but the rhythm was already there in the way of how we shot it, like I said, for me, the camera was a curious kid, that was on an adventure with them also, and also gets out safe, yeah.
There's definitely a distinct visual flair. You can see it in the colors, in the very elaborate movements of the camera. It really has a childish energy, which is great for pushing the film and making it more engaging. Definitely.
So that was
that was the idea, yeah. And can you
was the
just
idea.
talk a little bit about the score? I really liked the score. I thought it complemented perfectly the energy of the film,
Of
but
the
also
film.
added a little more layer, just contributed to creating that atmosphere.
So that the score was probably the what we worked on the longest, actually. And it's made by Maxime Hellings. He's a guitarist for a band in Belgium, and it was his first time that he did a score, actually. And but like he made, like, I've heard, he's a good friend of the DP, and he saw the images, because he was at the house of the DP and he saw some images, and he's like, yo, tell him, let me do the music. And I was like, okay, cool, let's do it. And then we kind of like, we were, the thing is, I didn't want like this typical like African djembe, blah blah blah, because you're in Africa, that's the sound that you need to hear. But for me, I wanted it to be it had to be like a little bit electronic, but like new, a bit modern also, but have African elements in it. That's like, and so we went to listen to different sounds, like, and different instruments that we thought were really cool. Like you have like this finger piano, this very local stuff, and then it was like, okay, now we have all these sounds. How do we fuck it up? Sorry, can I use the F word? I'm sorry.
I have
How do
no
we mess
idea.
it up? How do we mess it up? Like, how do we mess it all up, in the sense of like that you don't recognize the instruments, but it unfolds into this sound or this um theme where we have all the elements that for me was very that fitted the place and the film, you know. And so we did like a few themes. We did a theme for Matilda, a theme for Prince, a theme for Guam. We did a theme for locations. We did we experimented like really much, and I love that process. Like I'm so in love with scoring. Like I would love to score even other people's films. You know, like it's like I love it so much, and the process was so amazing. Like just going through these sounds and like messing up the sounds and doing themes, and you know, the only thing was that I'm a bit of like I can switch things just because it just for my gut feeling, you know. Just, I can't explain why, for instance, you know. So like we did these themes, and then Maxime was like, okay, so this is for there, this is for here, this is for here, this is for here, and then he left, and then I switched it like. And it felt great, like it felt much better, and I remember he coming back and he's like, I mean, it's good, but man, like he had to get used to it. But then at the end, it was like, yeah, of course it works, because we've been shaping this bigger sound that everything matched at the end. Like we were working so long on it and we had so much that even the music that was supposed to be on the fast scenes, we could put it on the slow scenes and it will work also, because the whole body of work was like it fitted the film, you know. And so we had a lot to choose from and a lot to experiment from, and yeah, and play with the themes, you know. Like we had this theme that, you know, the theme of like this, we wanted it to be playful, but also, you know, have this yeah, a bit like the film, you know, playful but still have this tension to it, you know. um um and I think Maxime did a great job at that, you know. Like
He did.
he killed it, you know. I'm sorry for switching up everything, but
No, well, I
he
mean,
did.
no, it did work. I don't know what it could have been, but this result definitely works. Before we wrap it up, I want to ask the most obvious question, which is casting. How did you find the kids? And once you found them, did you adapt the screenplay to them to match with maybe what they brought to the film? Or was
Okay.
it just like 100% the idea that you had from the beginning and you found the perfect candidates?
So I mean, the idea was there 100%. You know,
I'm
we
asking
wrote.
specifically because Matilda is the
Yeah,
girl is the
yeah,
ringleader, which I loved.
yeah,
I love that she was the one who was the not the cool one, but the more like hot-headed one.
yeah. You know, and the funny thing is that so we wrote the film, and it was written for two boys, two male characters, named Kofi and Kwame. So Kofi became Matilda, and Kofi was supposed to be me, actually, as a kid. But what we do, me and Chingis, when we write, you know, even though we just put names, when we are casting, we don't cast based on names, but we cast based on characteristics. So we just write down the characteristics, like able to run, able to rap, super energetic, like, you know, just the head of the school. So we went to this normal school, like this primary school. It was my nephew knew the headmaster, uh, and and so the production was even in that school, actually. Like that was like our base, you know. And it's also when you see the end of the film, that's the school actually with all those kids, you know.
Mhm.
And so yeah, we spoke about the story and what we wanted to do, and they supported us, you know. They were like, yes, let's do this. And one of the teachers like, okay, man, do you also want girls? And we were like, I mean, yeah, why not? I mean, if it fits And he's like, yeah, because I'm reading this, what you guys want. I mean, what you guys wrote down in there. I think there's somebody that can come. And so the first day, the first person that walked into that room was this girl, this little girl with this much, like she came in like this, like Matilda, like this girl. And I'm like, yeah, what's your name? She's like, yeah, Matilda. I'm like, okay, so what you gonna do? You want to rap? Like, what you gonna do? And she's like, oh, yeah, let me spit some raps for you guys. And then she just stole the show. Like and so we were like looking at each other like, damn, like she's better than who I was when I was a kid. And so so we didn't actually like change anything. We didn't change the script. We just changed the names in the sense of like, we just wanted it to be like real also, in the sense of like at the end you see them in the school and it could have happened to anybody. And so we just kept their names, and that was the only thing. But we never changed the scenes because they understood the story, and the story we didn't have to change it completely for because she was playing it or something, and that was good. I mean, we were happy we didn't have to, because that would have been a lot of work. But we did work with them. Like we hanged out with them, like, because how they have to say the dialogue and how they have to understand what you're saying, And so with that, of course, like that's something that we worked on together. But there weren't, we didn't have to change scenes because of them, because they were just on point. Like they understood the story. Like they even, like, I would have conversations with Prince, because I remember we were gonna do the sea scene, and we shot that scene backwards, actually, in the sense of like in Ghana, the sun goes down like at 5, like sun goes up at 5, goes down at 5, like that's the equator. Like there is very little light, daylight, but also, and the sea scene, we was supposed to get dark, that's the middle point, but we shot that in the morning, so when the sun goes up, we acted like the sun goes down, and then we shot reversed, and but the whole film was shot not chronologically, but the kids were so intelligent, like they were so smart that it worked, like they we have conversations, and just having conversations was enough. And they asked a lot of questions, like, why is this happening, and what happened to my dad? And like, we had all the backstory, but they wanted to know those backstories, and we felt like, oh man, it's amazing, because we didn't have to only give the backstory to the professional actor, which is for the foreigner, but the kids themselves wanted to know the backstory, and that's how amazing they were. Like, they were the most professional actors I've worked with in my life. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Anthony, for joining us. Good
Thank
luck
you.
on the rest of for the nomination, for the rest of the campaign. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Céline. Thank you. And yeah, we'll
Jess, you
see.
can come back.